There's a common belief echoed everywhere that once you save your first $10,000, life will finally start to feel easier. It's seen as a magical milestone, security, control, and a deep breath after years of scraping by. So you cut back, delay joy, and treat $10,000 like the finish line. Then one day, your banking app flashes that long-awaited number, $10,001. But nothing really changes. The bills still come, rent still climbs, the stress, it just takes a new form. What we don't often talk about is this. $10,000 doesn't automatically buy you freedom. What it actually unlocks is a new stage of decision-making, one that demands clarity, intention, and the mindset to shift from surviving to strategizing. And this video isn't about how to save 10K, it's about what to do once you have it, so it becomes a launchpad, not just a number. The myth of, once I hit $10K, I'm done. We've been sold a comforting lie. Once you hit $10K, you'll be okay. It sounds like freedom, a safety net, a milestone of success. So we chase it, believing that once our bank balance hits that number, our lives and our mindset will magically change. But that's not how it works. Psychologists call this the finish line fallacy. We treat $10,000 like the end of the race, only to find it's just a line in the sand, quickly erased by the next wave of life. $10,000 won't solve all your problems. What it does prove is that you have the discipline to build. But the money itself isn't a solution, it's just a brick. And most people, once they earn that first brick, they sit on it and rest instead of using it to lay the foundation. What really changes after $10K? 3 hidden shifts. So, if $10,000 doesn't bring lasting security, then what does it actually change? What really shifts the moment your bank balance hits that number? It's the 3 quiet, powerful shifts in control, and if you don't recognize them, you'll miss the entire point of this milestone. Shift 1. From scarcity to self-determination. Before $10,000, almost every decision you make is filtered through a single question. Do I have enough? Your calendar is dictated by bills. Your job choices are limited by entry-level salaries. You're playing defense. Every month, your goal is simply to survive. But after $10K, for the first time in a long time, the question starts to change. You begin to ask, what do I actually want to do? This isn't about quitting your job and traveling the world. That's another fantasy. This is about small, quiet shifts in autonomy that change the game. You can turn down a toxic freelance gig without fearing you'll starve. You can spend a weekend learning a new skill instead of chasing side work just to make rent. You're no longer driven by fear, you're guided by choice. And that is real power. Shift 2. From fear to calculated risk. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, risk is the enemy. A broken car? Financial disaster. A sudden illness? Potential debt spiral. Your entire life is built around avoiding risk at all costs. But with $10,000 as a cushion, risk stops being the enemy. It becomes a tool. Now, you can afford to take small, calculated risks, the kind that might actually move your life forward. You can spend $500 on a coding course. You can take a month to build a YouTube channel. You can relocate to a city with better opportunities. Yes, you might still fail. But here's the difference. Failure no longer means financial ruin. Failure becomes a lesson, a data point. You've bought yourself the right to get it wrong. And in today's world, the right to be wrong is one of the most valuable assets you can have. Shift 3. From survival to opportunity. When your mind is no longer consumed 24/7 by how to pay the bills, a new kind of space opens up and the world starts to look different. You no longer just spot problems, you start noticing opportunities. You hear a friend complain about a broken workflow, and instead of just nodding in sympathy, your brain quietly asks, could a simple tool or software fix this? You notice a rising trend online, and instead of scrolling past it, you wonder, how could I create something around this? This is the most profound shift of all. Money, once it crosses a certain threshold, doesn't just buy things, it buys cognitive space. It frees up your mental bandwidth from the loop of survival and gives you back the ability to think bigger and see farther. Why most people miss the shift. If these changes are so powerful, why do most people miss them? Why do so many hit $10K, $20K, even $50K and still feel stuck, like nothing has really changed? It's because they fall into 3 common psychological traps. Trap 1. Lifestyle inflation. This is the silent killer of financial progress. You hit your goal, and a quiet voice inside says, "You've earned this. You worked hard, you made sacrifices. Now it's time to enjoy, right?" So you upgrade the phone, take a fancier vacation, dine out more often. Bit by bit, your cost of living rises to match your savings. And suddenly, that $10,000 buffer is no longer a cushion. It becomes your new zero. You're back in survival mode, just at a more expensive level. Trap 2. The identity trap. Once you reach a certain amount of money, you start to feel the pressure to look like someone who has that money. You begin comparing yourself to others. You buy a watch not because you love it, but because it's what a successful person is supposed to wear. You move to a more expensive neighborhood not because you need to, but because it feels like the place you should be. This pressure turns your financial progress from a tool of freedom into a new kind of prison. Instead of liberating you, your money starts writing a new set of rules for you, a new role you feel obligated to play. The anxiety doesn't disappear, it just starts wearing designer clothes. Trap 3. The inertia of the old system. You built a great system to get from $0 to $10,000. It was built on cutting back, staying disciplined, and playing defense. But here's the problem. The system that got you here won't be the one that gets you to the next level. Many people hit $10,000 and just let it sit there in a savings account. They continue operating with the same old mindset, afraid to invest, hesitant to spend on education, and focused entirely on preserving money instead of growing it. That money, instead of becoming a small army working for you, becomes a prisoner you constantly guard, and over time, inflation slowly erodes its value. Turning $10,000 into a launch pad, not a plateau. So how do you avoid these traps? How do you turn $10,000 into a true launch pad rather than just another rest stop? You need a new operating system, a simple set of rules that shifts you from defense to offense. Rule 1. Build an untouchable foundation. This $10,000 isn't for spending. It's not for risky investments either. Its first and only mission is to become your freedom fund. Place it in a high-yield savings account, separate from your day-to-day money. Give it a name, Freedom Fund or Opportunity Fund. Its job is to be forgotten. It only exists to shield you from life's unexpected shocks so you can focus on building. Never touch it unless it's a true emergency. Rule 2. Weaponize your time. Now that you've built your foundation, it's time to use your monthly cash flow more strategically. Instead of just saving more, start buying back your future time. Invest in skills that can double or triple your income within the next 1-2 years. Coding, marketing, UI, UX design, sales. Look at spending $1,000 on a course, not as a cost, but as an investment, which could save you thousands of hours of future labor. You're no longer earning just to survive. You're using money to build a more powerful income machine. Rule 3. Build autopilot mode. The difference between an amateur and a professional is the system. Don't rely on willpower, since it will run out. Instead, build automation. Set up automatic transfers into your investment account each month, even if it's just $100. Automate your bill payments. Use budgeting or expense tracking apps so you don't have to manually monitor every transaction. The goal is to eliminate all low-level financial decisions, so your mental energy is freed up for high-level ones. What skill should I learn next? Which opportunity is worth pursuing? How can I create more value? Saving $10,000 isn't the answer. It brings us to the question, now that you finally have a bit of breathing room, a bit of power to choose, what will you do with it? Will you fall back into the same loop, spending on things you don't need to impress people you don't even like? Or will you use this as a launchpad to design a more intentional life, one built on choice rather than chance? The most important thing isn't the number in your bank account, it's the shift in your mindset. Starting today, stop seeing $10,000 as an achievement. Start treating it as a tool, a permission slip to start playing a bigger, more exciting, and more meaningful game. And here's my question for you. What will your first strategic move be? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next video.